Hello, and welcome to the 73rd episode of Scripture in a Year, hosted by Saints Peter and Paul Orthodox Church in the Albanian Archdiocese of the OCA. Today's reading is from the second book of the Kingdoms, or 2 Samuel, chapters 21 to 24. Now there was a famine in the days of David for 3 years, year after year, and David inquired before the Lord. And the Lord said, "In Saul and his unrighteous house there is wrongdoing, because of his bloodthirsty killings when he killed the Gibeonites." So King David called the Gibeonites and spoke to them. Now the Gibeonites were not sons of Israel, but belonged to the remnant of the Amorites. The sons of Israel had sworn protection to them, but Saul had sought to kill them in his zeal for the sons of Israel and Judah. And David said to the Gibeonites, "What shall I do for you? And with what shall I make atonement, so that you may bless the inheritance of the Lord?" And the Gibeonites said to him, "We will have no silver or gold from Saul or from his house, nor shall you kill any man in Israel for us." So he said, "What do you want me to do for you?" Then they answered the king, "As for the man who consumed us and pursued us, who deceived us to destroy us, let us blot him out from remaining in any of the territories of Israel. Let 7 men of his descendants be delivered to us, and we will hang them in broad daylight before the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord chose." And the king said, "I will give them." But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul. So the king took Armoni and Mephibosheth, the 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bore to Saul, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she bore for Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Meholathite, and he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites. They hanged them on the hill before the Lord. So they fell, all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of the harvest, in the first days, in the beginning of barley harvest. Now Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, took sackcloth and spread it for herself on the rock from the beginning of barley harvest until the rains poured on them from the heaven. And she did not allow the birds of the air to rest on them by day, nor the beasts of the field by night. David was told what Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, the concubine of Saul, had done. And they were faint, and Dan, son of Joah, from the offspring of the giants, overtook them. Then David went and took Saul's bones and the bones of Jonathan his son. He took them from the men of Jabesh Gilead, who stole them from the square of Bethshan, where the Philistines put them, on the day the Philistines struck down Saul in Gilboa. So he brought up the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from there, and they gathered the bones of those who were hanged. And they buried Saul's bones and the bones of Jonathan his son, and the bones of those who were hanged in the country of Benjamin, in Zelah, beside the tomb of Kish his father. So they did everything the king commanded, and after that God heeded the prayer for the land. Now the Philistines were still at war with Israel, and David and his servants with him went down and fought against the Philistines. And David grew faint. Then Ishbai thought he could kill David. This Ishbai was one of the descendants of the giants. And the weight of his spear was the weight of 300 bronze shekels, and he was girded with a club. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, came to his aid and struck the Philistine and killed him. Then David's men swore to him, saying, "You shall no longer go out with us to battle, that you do not quench the lamp of Israel." Now after this there was another battle with the Philistines at Gath. Then Sibbecai the Hushathite killed Saph, who was one of the descendants of the giants. And there was war at Gob with the Philistines, where Elhanah the son of Jaar-oregim, the Bethlehemite, killed Goliath the Gittite, whose spear had a shaft like a weaver's beam. Yet again there was a battle at Gath, where there was a man of strife who had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in number. He also was born to the giant. And he defied Israel, and Jonathan, the son of Shimeah, the brother of David, killed him. These 4 were born as offspring of the giant in Gath, and they fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. And David spoke to the Lord the words of this song on the day when the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies, and from the hand of Saul. And he sang, O Lord, my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer, my God will be my guardian in whom I will trust, my defender and the horn of my salvation, my protector and the refuge of my salvation. You will save me from unrighteousness. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, and I will be saved from my enemies. When the troubles of death encompassed me, the floods of wickedness terrified me, the throes of death surrounded me, the harshness of death confronted me. In my distress I will call upon the Lord and cry out to my God, and he will hear my voice from his temple, and my cry will enter his ears. Then the earth was shaken and trembled, and the foundations of heaven were troubled, because the Lord was angry with them. From out of his wrath a smoke went up, and from his mouth a devouring fire. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens and came down, and there was darkness under his feet. He rode upon the cherubim and did fly. He was seen upon the wings of the wind. He put darkness around him as a hiding place. About him his tabernacle was the darkness of waters, and by the clouds of the air he thickened it. From the brightness of his light coals of fire were kindled. The Lord thundered from heaven, and the Most High uttered his voice. He sent arrows and scattered them. He confounded them with lightning. The channels of the sea were seen. The foundations of the world were uncovered. With a blast of the wind, his wrath, he sent from the height and took me. He drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemies, from those who hated me, for they were stronger than I. They confronted me in the day of my tribulation. But the Lord was my support. He brought me to a broad place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. The Lord repaid me according to my righteousness. According to the purity of my hands he repaid me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, and have not wickedly departed from my God. For all his judgments were before me, and I did not depart from his statutes. I will be blameless before him, and I will guard myself from my iniquity. And the Lord will recompense me, according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his eyes. With the holy you will be holy. With a perfect man you will be perfect. With the chosen you will be the choice one. And with the devious you will be shrewd. You will save the needy peoples, but you will humble the eyes of the haughty. For you, O Lord, are my lamp. The Lord shall enlighten my darkness. For by you I can run against a band of troops. By my God I can leap over a wall. As for the mighty one, his way is blameless. The word of the Lord is strong, tried by fire. He is a defender to all who trust in him. Who is mighty except the Lord? And who will be the Creator except our God? The mighty one who strengthens me with power, who has prepared my way blameless. He makes my feet like the feet of deer, and sets me in my high places. He instructs my hands for war, so that my arms can bend a bow of bronze. You have given me the protection of my salvation, and your gentleness fulfills me. My pathway under me is widened, and my legs are not shaken. I shall pursue my enemies and destroy them. I will not turn back until I destroy them. I will break them, and they will not rise, for they will fall under my feet. For you will strengthen me with your power for the battle. You will subdue under me those who rose against me. You have given me the back of my enemy, so I killed those who hated me. They will cry out, but no one will help, even to the Lord, but he did not listen to them. Then I beat them as fine as the dust of the earth. I crushed them like dirt in the streets. You will deliver me from the quarrels of the people. I have kept me at the head of nations. A people I have not known served me. Philistines deceived me. As soon as they heard, they obeyed me. Philistines shall be cast out, and they will stumble out from their hideouts. The Lord lives. Blessed be my guardian. Let my God be exalted, the guardian of my salvation. It is the mighty Lord who avenges me and chastises the people under me. He delivers me from my enemies. You will lift me above those who rise against me. You will deliver me from the man of injustice. Therefore, O Lord, I will confess you to the Gentiles and sing praises to your name. He is the one who extols the salvation of his king and shows mercy to his anointed, to David and his seed forever. Now these are the last words of David. David, the faithful one, the son of Jesse, the faithful man whom the Lord raised up, the anointed of the God of Jacob, the sweet psalmist of Israel. The Spirit of the Lord spoke by me, and his word was on my tongue. The God of Israel says, A guardian of Israel spoke a parable, saying, Among men, how will you strengthen the fear of God? By God, the sun may rise in the light of early morning. The early morning does not pass by without light. So after rain, new growth shows forth out of the earth. For my house is not so with the Mighty One. For he prepared an everlasting covenant with me, keeping it prepared for every time. For my entire salvation and my every desire is that the lawless may not in any way flourish. All of them are as thorns thrusting outwards, for they cannot be taken by the hand, and a man will not labor among them, unless armed with iron and the shaft of a spear, and to their dishonor they shall be burned with fire. The names of David's mighty men were first Jebusheth, the Canaanite, chief among the three. The second was called Adino, the Eznite. He drew his sword against 800 men at one time and killed them. And after him was Eleazar, his cousin, the son of Zuistos, one of the three mighty men. He was with David and Zoran when they defied the Philistines, who were gathered there for battle, and the men of Israel had retreated. He arose and attacked the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand stuck to the sword. The Lord brought about a great deliverance that day, and the people stayed behind him only to plunder. And after him was Shammah, the son of Asa, the Aruachite. The Philistines had gathered to Theriah, where there was a part of the field full of lentils. Then the people fled from the Philistines, but he stationed himself in the middle of the field, defended it, and killed the Philistines. And the Lord brought about a great deliverance. Then 3 of the 30 chief men went down at harvest time, and came to David in Cason at the cave of Adullam. And the troop of the Philistines encamped in the valley of Rephaim. At that time David was in the stronghold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David said with longing, "Who will give me a drink of the water from the well in Bethlehem by the gate?" So the 3 mighty men broke through the camp of the Philistines, drew water from the well of Bethlehem by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless he would not drink it, but poured it out to the Lord. And he said, "Far be it from me, Lord, to do this. Is this not the blood of the men who went in jeopardy of their lives, so that I should drink?" Therefore he would not drink it. These are the things the 3 mighty men did. Now Abishai, the brother of Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was chief of another 3. He lifted his spear against 300 men and won a name among these 3. Of the 3 he was the most honored. Therefore he became their captain. However, he did not attain to the first 3. Benaiah was the son of Jehoiada, a man from Kabzeel, abundant in deeds. He had killed 2 lion-like heroes of Moab. He had also gone down and killed a lion in the midst of a pit on a snowy day. And he killed an Egyptian man, a handsome man. The Egyptian had a spear in his hand like the wood of a ladder, so he went down to him with a staff, snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand, and killed him with his own spear. These things Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, did, and he won a name among the 3 mighty men. And he was the most honored of the 3, but he did not attain to the first 3. And David appointed him as his reporter. And the names of King David's mighty men were Asahel, the brother of Joab, one of the 30, Elhanan, the son of Dodo, David's uncle, of Bethlehem, Shammah the Harodite, Elikah the Harodite, Helez the Paltite, Ira the son of Ikesh, the Tekoite, Abiezer the Anathonite, the sons of Asothitos, Zalman the Ahahite, Maari the Netophanite, Maharai the Netophathite, Heleb the son of Baana the Netophanite, Ittai the son of Rabai from Gibeah, the son of Benjamin, Benaiah the Pirathonite, Hadai from the brooks of Gaash, Abiel the son of Arbathite, Asmaveth the Barhumite, Eliabah the Shaalbanite of the sons of Jashan, Jonathan, Shammah the Hararite, Ahiam the son of Sharar the Hararite, Eliphalet, the son of Ashabai, the son of the Maakathite, Eliam, the son of Ahithophel, the Gilonite, Hezrai, the Carmelite, Paarai, the Arbite, Igal, the son of Nathan, from the mighty men, the Gadite, Eli, the Ammonite, Gelorai, the Beerothite, the armor-bearer of Joab, the son of Zeruiah, Ira the Ithrite, Gareb the Ithrite, and Uriah the Hittite. These were 37 in all. And the anger of the Lord was aroused against Israel, and he incited David against them, saying, Go number Israel and Judah. So the king said to Joab, the commander of the army, who was with him, Go throughout all the tribes of Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, and inspect the people, that I may know the number of people. And Joab said to the king, May the Lord your God add to the people the same number again, and 100 times more, and may the eyes of my lord the king see it. But why does my lord the king desire this thing? Nevertheless, the king's word prevailed against Joab and against the captains of the army. Therefore Joab and the captains of the army went out before the king to inspect the people of Israel. And they crossed the Jordan and camped at Aroer, on the right side of the city, in the midst of the ravine of Gad and Eleazar. And they came to Gilead and to the land of Thabasan, which is Hodshai. And they came to Dan Jaan and Hudan, and around to Sidon. And they came to Mapsar and of Tyre, and all the cities of the Hivites and the Canaanites. And they went to South Judah as far as Beersheba. So when they had gone through the whole land, they came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. And Joab gave the sum of the number of the inspection of the people to the king. And there were 800,000 valiant men in Israel who drew the sword, and the men of Judah were 500,000 men of war. And David's heart condemned him after he had numbered the people. So David said to the Lord, I sinned greatly in what I did. But now I pray, O Lord, take away the iniquity of your servant, for I have done very foolishly. Now when David arose in the morning, the word of the Lord came to the prophet Gad, David's seer, saying, Go and tell David, Thus says the Lord, I offer you 3 things. Choose one of them for yourself, and I will do it to you. So Gad came to David and told him, and he said to him, Choose for yourself what is to come to pass. Shall 3 years of famine come into your land, or shall you flee for 3 months before your enemies, while they pursue you? Or shall there be 3 days of death in your land? Now consider, and see what answer I should take back to him who sent me the word. And David said to Gad, I am in great distress, therefore I shall fall into the hands of the Lord, for the multitude of his compassion is great. Do not let me fall into the hand of man. And David chose for himself the death he spoke. So in the days of the wheat harvest, the Lord sent death upon Israel from the morning until noon, and destruction came upon the people. From Dan to Beersheba, 70,000 men of the people died. And when the angel stretched out his hand over Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord relented from the destruction, and said to the angel who was destroying the people, It is enough, now restrain your hand. And the angel of the Lord was by the threshing floor of Ornah the Jebusite. Then David spoke to the Lord when he saw the angel who was striking the people, and he said, I am the shepherd, and I have done wickedly, but these sheep, what have they done? Let your hand, I pray, be against me and against my father's house. And Gad came to David that day and said to him, Go up and erect an altar to the Lord on the threshing floor of Ornah the Jebusite. So David went up according to the word of Gad, as the Lord commanded. Now Ornah looked and saw the king and his servants coming toward him. So Ornah went out and bowed before the king with his face to the ground. Then Ornah said, Why has my lord the king come to his servant? And David said, To buy the threshing floor from you, to build an altar to the Lord, so the plague may be withdrawn from the people. Now Ornah said to David, Let my lord the king take and offer up whatever seems good to him to the Lord. Look, here are oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing implements, and yokes of the oxen for wood. Ornah gave all these things to the king. And Ornah said to the king, May the Lord your God bless you. And the king said to Ornah, No, but I will surely buy it from you for a price. I will not offer burnt offerings to the Lord my God with something that costs me nothing. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. And David built an altar there to the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And Solomon later made a larger offering upon the altar, for a small one was made first. So the Lord heeded the prayers for the land, and the plague was withdrawn from Israel. Here ends the reading for today.